Tonight, tragedy. 4-year-old twin girls killed in a house fire near Byron Bay. The nation's COVID vaccine rollout to hit the accelerator yet again. Scott Morrison heading to the Hunter to start selling his new climate policies. We check in with young AJ, 2 months on since his remarkable rescue in the Hunter. And Australia 2 wins away from its first T20 World Cup triumph.
This is NBN News with Jane Goldsmith.
Good evening. It's been a tragic day in a small town in the hills inland from Byron Bay. Twin 4-year-old girls have died in a house fire, believed to have been started by a candle in the early hours of this morning.
A secluded rural oasis turned scene of tragedy. Officers combing over the contents of this Goonangarry home early this morning. At the centre, a burnt piano, the ignition point of a fatal house fire that claimed the lives of twin 4-year-old girls.
It's unbelievably devastating to see 2 4-year-old females. It's just a tragic set of circumstances.
Initial investigations suggest a lit candle had been left on top of the piano in the children's room. Acrylic keys and material were left to smoulder. It's understood the children's father and his girlfriend had been next door at a social gathering when he came home around 4 a.m. Paramedics and firefighters arrived 30 minutes later, but sadly were unable to revive the twins.
The police that turned up there did an exceptional job in getting in and doing their best.
Flowers filled the property's mailbox this afternoon as neighbours came to pay their respects. A simple gesture for a community lost for words.
In a state of shock, really. I think we're all really saddened to wake up to this news, and so devastating for our community.
The home is nestled in bushland here on a large commune some 30 kilometres west of Byron Bay. It's understood the girls usually live with their mother nearby but were visiting their father for the weekend. The father's girlfriend was treated for shock on scene. Officers left with the task of informing the children's mother of the incident.
And we'll cross live to our reporter at the scene shortly. Border bans have taken campaigning off the cards in recent months, but now the Prime Minister is looking to make up for lost time with a tour of marginal seats. Scott Morrison will road test his new climate policies in the Hunter tomorrow as protests over a lack of action continue overseas.
The soundtrack for change blaring through the streets of Glasgow as the second week of climate talks begin. Not even a downpour stopped protesters from imploring leaders to slow the effects of global warming.
We must demand that our leaders stop holding meaningless summits and start taking meaningful action.
The message from the Pacific Islands of Tuvalu delivered in knee-deep water, warning this will be their reality if countries like Australia don't do more.
Well, I'm optimistic that there's great progress being made.
But not necessarily enough to keep the planet's temperature rise within 1.5 degrees.
It is a very difficult outcome to achieve.
What matters is concrete plans.
Labor initially said its plans would be revealed after the Glasgow summit, but now...
We've now seen the government's alleged plan. We're still waiting on more detail about the modelling.
The Prime Minister hits the road tomorrow to start selling his climate policies. First stop is the coal mining region of the New South Wales Hunter Valley, where the effects of the energy transition will be felt the most. From there, Scott Morrison heads to Victoria to visit a slew of marginal seats, a precursor to an election campaign early next year, with a hint from a senior minister on when polling day might fall.
We have an election which isn't due until May next year.
Returning to our top story and more on the tragic death of twin girls in a house fire. Let's cross live now to James Wilson, who's at Mullumbimby tonight. James, a painful investigation for police, but painstaking just the same.
Well, Jane, there are around six families that live on this property. A number of those people, including the girl's family, have been here at the police station this afternoon giving statements to detectives. Of course, this does remain an ongoing police investigation, and officers will stay at this home tonight and into tomorrow as they collect evidence. At this point, there is no suggestion that the girl's father neglected his responsibility to his children, but given this is such a tragic incident, police want to make sure they're leaving no stone unturned. Jane.
Thank you, James. A scam-busting minister would be appointed if Labor wins the next election in a bid to stop Australians being ripped off billions of dollars a year.
Every day, Australians are getting hammered. Text messages, fake phone calls, emails.
The opposition has also vowed to set up a national anti-scam centre, bringing banks, telcos and police together to shut down scammers and help victims. New South Wales is tonight on the cusp of yet another COVID vaccination milestone, with 90% of the state double-dosed. The incredible result means Kudos Bank Arena, one of the workhorses of our vaccination rollout, will finally return to its normal use.
It's been at the front line, the Kudos Bank Arena hub turbocharging our vaccination drive, particularly in Western Sydney.
It's been a very successful venture. We've managed to administer over 360,000 vaccines.
In recent days, this mass immunisation centre has been transformed back into an entertainment venue, but at its peak in the past 3 months it was administering 26 doses every minute. Today, among the last, healthcare worker Leah Bottomley getting her booster shot. With 2,700 others, she also worked here giving vaccinations.
And I knew it was their last day, so I thought it'd be most memorable for me to have my last shot here.
Incredibly, this centre has still been administering first doses in the past few days.
If you haven't been vaccinated, get with the strength. Go and get vaccinated.
Now, the doors here may be closing for vaccinations, but the program itself doesn't stop at all. From tomorrow, the general population can get their booster shots if their second dose was 6 months ago or more. To help with that, a new vaccine hub was launched in Granville today. It opens tomorrow with the capacity for 1,000 vaccinations a day, but can do 2,000 when required.
This booster program here in our state is going to be critical in order to keep people safe, ensure we can keep New South Wales open.
There were 244 new local COVID cases today and one death. 93.9% of the eligible population have now had their first vaccine dose, and 89.8% have had both doses. From tomorrow, the fully vaccinated also get more freedoms, with no limits on the number they can have in their homes or outdoors. Businesses can allow more people in. Dance floors and indoor pools can reopen. Density limits also increase for everything from stadiums and racecourses to cinemas and theatres. Caps will be lifted for other settings except gyms and dance classes, where the 20-person limits remain. Mask rules also stay until 95% of us are fully vaccinated. The eased restrictions are good news for boxer Tim Zhu, whose match on Wednesday night will be the first for a reopened Kudos Bank Arena.
We have been through so much, and it's setups like this that helped us get to the point that we are today. And while it's served its purpose over the last few months, now it's time to get back to what Kudos is really for, and that's to come here and have some fun.
We are one, but we are many.
Hundreds gathered in Parramatta today as part of nationwide protests against mandatory vaccinations. Lockdown restrictions for the unvaccinated remain in place until December 15, or when the state hits 95% fully vaccinated. Eddie Meyer, NBN News.
There's been 77 new COVID cases recorded in the Hunter New England Health District. Only 26 were in the Hunter itself, with all council areas back in single digits. Newcastle and Cessnock saw 7 each, while there were 5 each in Lake Macquarie and Port Stephens. 2 were found in Maitland. A devoted Central Coast nurse has reflected on his time fighting Wilcannia's COVID outbreak. Peter McKay was deployed in September when the virus was quickly spreading through the vulnerable community.
1,000 kilometres west and dressed head to toe in PPE. This is the Central Coast's Peter McKay and Fiona Young in Wilcannia.
Great to be able to go out and help an Indigenous population and a rural community.
In August, the rural town was hit hard by COVID-19, with more than 150 cases. Hospital and hotel infrastructure wasn't up to scratch, and health resources were slim. So the devoted nursing duo flew over and stayed in a so-called tent city, ready to do their part.
It was, 2 weeks on a stretcher bed, but like I said, it was very rewarding to be there, and putting up with a stretcher bed for 2 weeks isn't that bad, really.
Throughout their 2-week stay, Peter and Fiona were tasked with managing makeshift accommodation, helping care for close contacts.
We also were part of the hospital in the home, community visits and health checks on positive patients.
With a career in nursing spanning 3 decades, Peter says this was a rewarding experience he'll never forget. Holly Williams, NBN News.
After restrictions, lockdowns and plenty of setbacks, musicals are ready to make a triumphant return in Newcastle. On Wednesday night, the loud and colourful Priscilla, Queen of the Desert will be the first show to take the stage at the Civic Theatre in 3 months.
In 2019, these performers were cast in the hit musical Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. It's only now, 2 years on, they're finally in the makeup chair.
This has been a really long labour of love. We've sort of been ready for it so many times, so to finally see it hit the stage is amazing.
To be in the costumes, you feel the character even more. Newcastle are in for a treat.
The cast and the musical's organisers, Metropolitan Plays, have been through cancellation after cancellation. But come Wednesday night, they'll shake off the shackles and perform once again at the Civic Theatre.
Got 4 posters with 4 different dates on them. But isn't it funny how fate works in mysterious ways?
Now, I've just been told by the show's director we're in need of an extra diva. So, I'm the understudy, and it's time to get in the chair for the next 2 hours. Doesn't that look lovely?
Unfortunately, I didn't make the cut. Best leave it to the professionals. Without an income since the pandemic began, the show's organisers admit without hosting a performance this year, the curtain may have closed on their illustrious career.
This was make or break. We either got it on this year or that was the end of Metropolitan Plays after 45 years.
Adam Murray, NBN News.
7 half-iron triathlons in 7 days. It's no easy feat, but a Hunter man is embarking on the challenge to raise money for charity. Making it even more extraordinary, John Demandle is vision impaired.
On the bike, on the treadmill and in the pool. For the next week, this will be John Demandle's life.
My plan is to complete a half-iron distance triathlon each day for 7 days.
Each day he'll swim almost 2 kilometres, ride 90 and run over 21. For the vision impaired athlete, no challenge is too difficult.
I have a disability, but I don't think I'm disabled. I've got more ability than most people on this planet, and I relish challenges.
It's all to raise money and awareness for the blind.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy and out there. Love what he does. As I said, he's an absolute inspiration to all of us.
Human trials like gene therapy are now underway.
We're really, really hopeful, and I think for anybody that's got an inherited retinal eye disease, there's a bright future ahead.
Adam Murray, NBN News.
Coming up, at least 8 killed and hundreds injured in a stampede at a rap concert. Why the cost of green slips is coming down. And a roadblock of a different kind in the US. Emergency crews are still searching for the body of a man fatally mauled by a shark in Perth. The 57-year-old is believed to have been attacked by a great white while swimming at Port Beach in North Fremantle yesterday. Several people witnessed the attack before the man disappeared.
So far, we haven't been able to recover any items other than 1 pair of goggles, and that pair of goggles has been swabbed for testing.
It's understood he was a father of 3. An investigation into the deaths of 8 people at a music concert in Texas has taken a sinister turn. Police are looking into reports that a security guard was injected with a drug before falling unconscious.
In amongst a mass of music fans, a tragedy is unfolding. Dozens are injured and some are dying, crushed in a crowd surge.
It was kind of mind-blowing. Like, we kept hearing people say, stop the show, but we didn't know what was going on.
They were like chanting like "Stop the show," and there was a guy in the back like getting like CPR.
It was like you were suffocating in there. Like you weren't like on the side or anything. You were getting suffocated.
Trying to help, an emergency vehicle crawls through the crowd. Oblivious fans swarm the first responders, even dancing on the vehicle's roof. Those who realise something is wrong try to stop the concert, pleading with a cameraman to raise the alarm. On stage, confusion. Rapper Travis Scott is silenced mid-set, realising something is wrong.
We need somebody to help him. Somebody passed out right here. Somebody passed out right here. Hold on, don't touch him, don't touch him. Everybody just back up.
In the chaos, 8 people died, including a 14 and 16-year-old, but police are yet to confirm the cause of death, and today the investigation took a sinister turn.
One of the narratives was that some individual was injecting other people with drugs.
A security guard says that during the concert he felt an injection in his neck before falling unconscious. He was revived by medics using Narcan, a type of rescue jab designed to combat the effects of a drug overdose.
Medics used Narcan jabs several times during the concert.
In the 30 years that major, for example, events have taken place in the city, whether they were on city facilities or county facilities, we've never had anything like this occur.
Astro World was an event organised by Live Nation. 50,000 people attended. The venue legally fits 4 times that. Today, it's empty. The 2-day show cut short, along with the lives of 8 young music fans. In the United States, Michael Genovese, NBN News.
At least 3 people have been stabbed with a knife on a high-speed train in Germany. Passengers were travelling through the state of Bavaria in the country's south when they were attacked. A 27-year-old man has been arrested. Touting it as a monumental step forward and a once-in-a-generation spending measure, US President Joe Biden is praising Congress for passing his $1.6 trillion infrastructure bill. The package will fund road and transport upgrades and improved access to clean drinking water and high-speed internet. We know a lot about breast cancer in women in Australia, but not men. It accounts for just 1% of male cancers, so there's little awareness of the risk, often leading to a late diagnosis.
For decades, Dale Barrett has risked his life to save others. Now he's facing his biggest challenge yet.
16 cycles of chemo and 25 or 30 straight days of radiation.
For days, the firefighter ignored a chest pain, dismissing it for an ingrown hair. But as his skin started eroding, he knew it was something more.
I ended up with roughly half a golf ball inside my chest, and that's when I was ordered to go and see the GP, and the verdict came back very quickly that I had breast cancer.
A week later, he was having surgery.
So I've had a full mastectomy and 22 lymph nodes removed from my left side.
I think if you surveyed men in the community, most of them would probably be gobsmacked that there was any possibility of them getting breast cancer.
Every day, 55 Australians are told they have breast cancer, with 1 in 7 women diagnosed in their lifetime. For men, it's just 1 in 700. Right now, there is no screening facility available for men, except for those with the BRCA gene, the hereditary form of breast cancer also found in women.
It's just being body aware and checking what does a normal nipple feel like in a male.
And while Dale counts himself as one of the luckier ones,
a good portion of that possibly could have been avoided had I known, had it not been for my own ignorance, that men don't get breast cancer. Well, we bloody well do.
Coming up, we check in on young AJ, the toddler who went missing at a Hunter property. A special mission south for these 4 feathery friends. And the police party crashers who brightened a little girl's day near Newcastle. A passenger plane's emergency landing in Spain took a dramatic turn when 24 passengers rushed onto the runway and tried to flee the airport. Police quickly chased them, but only managed to arrest a dozen people. The flight from Casablanca to Istanbul was grounded when a passenger appeared to fall ill. Officers are investigating if it was a planned attempt to illegally enter Spain. At least 99 people have been killed and dozens more injured when a fuel tanker exploded in Sierra Leone. It's one of the deadliest incidents the West African nation has seen.
A leaking tanker, an opportunity too good to ignore for dozens. Collecting fuel despite the risk, but just moments later, the truck ignites. The fireball turning Sierra Leone's night sky orange, its remnants littering the intersection with fires. The incident triggered when the tanker collided with another vehicle just outside the country's capital, Freetown, late on Friday night. Those stuck in the accident's traffic jam then caught in the flames. This drone footage showing the extent of the explosion's reach. Sierra Leone's president says he's deeply disturbed by the horrendous loss of life, adding the government will do everything to support affected families. The death toll is expected to rise as more bodies are recovered, and there are fears many of those taken to hospital won't survive.
As the nation and the world watched the rescue of little Cleo Smith unfold this week, there was one Sydney family who could relate more than most. It's been 2 months since AJ Elfalak was found alive after going missing for 3 days on a Hunter Valley property. And his parents say they've now found a new normal.
It's your average weekend in the Elfalak family's Chipping Norton backyard. 3-year-old AJ, full of energy, playing under the watchful eye of his brothers and parents Kelly and Anthony.
AJ, go jump, jump, Daddy, jump. Yay, go AJ.
2 months after he went missing from their Putty property in the Hunter region, life has resumed as normal back in suburban Sydney.
Yay!
And normal has never felt better.
I was chasing him on the sand at Chipping Norton Lake the other day. I was chasing him on the beach there, the little beach thing they have there. And he just chased me, looking back at me, running, hiding, laughing, giggling, then put him on the jet ski and just looking at me, just like, wow. Just these moments you think you're never going to have. If I didn't,
cherish every moment.
If he didn't come back.
Stand by, steady. I've got the boy. I just got to get obs on the... Get on the siren, get on the PA and tell them...
It's Vision Australia will never forget. Pole Air pilot Kevin Drake and crew member Jonathan Smith spotting AJ lapping up water from a creek after 3 freezing nights alone in the bush.
I still can't believe it. Every time I see it, I'm like, wow. This little kid was out there trying to survive.
Kelly and Anthony still watch this clip every day.
I felt like he was still alive. That's why we didn't give up. Like, I felt in my heart he was still alive and we were going to see him.
I've got the boy, 4 magic words that brought so much relief, recently joined by 4 more. My name is Cleo.
What's your name, sweetheart?
My name is Cleo.
Your name is Cleo. Hello, Cleo.
On opposite sides of the country, the Elfalak and Smith family share a unique bond. Kelly followed every gut-wrenching twist during the 18-day search for the missing WA toddler, even running prayer groups at their local Catholic church.
Oh, if we were in the same state, I would have been the first one there looking.
What would your advice or message be to the family, having been through the experience yourself?
Love each other, be happy. Life is too short, so just enjoy every moment.
While the family relax at home, there is still an air of mystery that surrounds AJ's disappearance. Detectives from Strike Force Jailing are continuing to follow up leads, including theories of abduction. Both Kelly and Anthony have been helping police. The question that people still want answered is, did you guys have anything to do with AJ's disappearance?
Oh, mate, to take a kid that way for 4 days, no way. Kelly's too. Kelly loves him that much.
He's my baby, he's my child. Who would do that?
No, you wouldn't do that to a kid. And what are you going to get out of it? What do you get out of it?
Just like Cleo, little AJ has gained a legion of fans from around the world.
A lady named Mary from Queensland, she wrote a song about AJ.
The boy, once lost in the bush, now at home in the backyard, blissfully unaware of the impact he's had.
Still to today, when I bump into people on the job sites, on building sites, into cafes, when you're getting a coffee in the morning, they're just all you don't understand, we'll pray for you and your child. I'm like, well, I didn't even know you, but, you know, thank you. Like, it's crazy. It's amazing.
Oh, I look at him every night till now.
It was good.
And I just say, thank God he's with me.
One lucky Sydney sider is now a millionaire. All they had to do to win $1 million was roll up their sleeve and get vaccinated.
Joanne Zhu is a millionaire, and she has the evidence. You've got the big novelty check.
And now I'm sort of like famous, right?
Apparently so. Joanne is apparently sort of like famous for the simple act of rolling up her sleeve, copping a whack of the jab, and then throwing her lot into the internet lottery of the $1 million vax.
A group of business people and philanthropists that had just got together early on in the COVID period, actually, just to see what we could do to help in different ways.
Joanne took the view that given she'd been double punched, it was like a free Powerball ticket. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Like,
Mate, it's worth $1 million.
Yeah, for free.
Mind you, when she got the call at work, she thought...
Fake.
Then, after another message, she thought she might have jagged a smaller prize.
Every single day in October, we gave away 100 $1,000 gift cards.
Not 1 million.
1 million.
Years.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
It is.
It's still very encouraging to see the correlations between what we've done and the vaccination rates in different parts of the country.
Joe's already had a window shop online. What did you look for first?
Handbags. And presents for my families, of course. I love traveling, and maybe in the future I would like to study different courses as well. I have the foundation to improve myself.
And she's still cheering on 90% double dose.
Oh, so good.
Mike Dalton, NBN News.
Every dollar saved counts, particularly after economic shocks of the pandemic. There's now some help with our green slips. Government reforms delivering motorists an average saving of $19 a year from January. That'll push the average premium below $470, the lowest it's been in more than a decade. Police were called to a party at Lake Macquarie today, but not because anyone was breaking the law. Officers were there for a very different reason, to help brighten up the day of a brave little girl.
Perched on a pony, little Piper Kelly looks like any other 5-year-old, only she has DIPG, an insidious, incurable brain cancer. With every day more precious than the last, loved ones today threw her a belated birthday bash worthy of a princess.
Can you give me a big smile? Hi, big smile, darling. Yeah, good girl.
Parents Chris and Janelle first noticed something was wrong while on holiday in July. Within a few days, doctors were telling them to prepare for the worst. Thankfully, radiation treatment in Sydney has given them extra time.
She's symptom-free at the moment, which is amazing.
The party had everything from a petting zoo to an unexpected police air wing visit.
We got here expecting, a jumping castle and a helicopter landed, so it's just been amazing.
Uncle Graham, himself a former officer, forever grateful.
It means everything. They've had, a really tragic blow sort of delivered to them, and days like this just take the weight off a little bit.
An online fundraiser has already raised more than $55,000 to help the family cover their medical expenses and savour every moment.
It is unbelievable, but you soon realise you need every single bit of it. You put your whole life on hold and you still got bills to pay and everything like that.
Together, Piper and her older brothers have made grand plans for the months ahead, the happiest place on earth now beckoning.
Honestly, we'd love to go to Disneyland, but it'd be a big risk because we can't get life insurance, but we may risk it.
Sam Burberry, NBN News.
An SUV of startled tourists visiting Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming got closer than they had hoped to a herd of wild bison.
He is massive. Look how huge he is. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Please don't do anything to her car.
Dozens upon dozens of bison can be seen surrounding the vehicle on the road into the park. The animals, which can weigh up to 900 kilograms, caused a traffic jam, but thankfully no damage. Four feathered friends from Sydney Zoo are in for a slightly different March of the Penguins this month. The birds are bound for Tasmania as part of a special program to help the survival of their breed.
They were hatched in Western Sydney, raised in Bungarabee, and now it's time for Boris, Daz, Kim and Alsa to fly the coop.
The boys are definitely a lot more boisterous than the females, I find.
The four intrepid juvenile penguins set to travel to Tasmania as part of a regional breeding program to maintain genetic diversity and conservation. The feathered friends singled out from the colony at Sydney Zoo for their genes.
So they're the youngest in the group, so they're young, they're fit. We've got 3 females.
But before those females take flight, the first step, or waddle, is a health checkup with one of the busiest doctors in town. Sedated throughout the delicate examination, each penguin is placed on its back while it undergoes an X-ray before their heart and lungs are checked and blood is drawn. The aim is to reveal any underlying health issues now before making the move down south.
They're quite a small animal, so when we're taking a radiograph, we're actually getting the whole body.
After the sedation has worn off and the four have found their happy feet, it's a meal of fish sprinkled with garlic flakes. And now that the penguins are back in their habitat, once they're given the all clear, they'll then be moved to their new home. Early Walsh, NBN News.
Mitchell Hughes joins us now with the day's sport, and the Aussies are in with a chance at the T20 World Cup, Mitch.
Well, they certainly are, and David Warner is in fine form. Thanks, Jane. Coming up, Justin Langer says his team has got the talent to win the World Cup. And the Wallabies train in Scotland ahead of their clash with the home side. The T20 World Cup is the one trophy missing from Australia's cricket collection, but Justin Langer says his men are finally ready to claim it. The Aussies moved into the final 4 with a resounding win over the West Indies. David Warner and Josh Hazlewood were the standouts.
Defeating the defending champions, Australia hitting form at the right time.
We've got a very, very talented, very, very experienced team, and those things are important in winning World Cups.
The West Indies were already out of the finals picture, but in Chris Gayle...
Down to long on and over long on.
And Dwayne Bravo's final international...
Plenty of it as well, Bravo all the way.
They were determined to go out with a bang, but Josh Hazlewood had other ideas.
Yeah! Another one for the brilliant Josh Hazlewood.
The big quick picking up 4 wickets. Chasing 158, David Warner teed off.
Don't worry about fetching that.
I go out there and try and face the ball that's being delivered. That's my job.
This was vintage Warner, the opener crushing questions about his form with an unbeaten 89 off 56 balls, helped by 53 from Mitchell Marsh.
He's obviously come in at a young age early on, and a lot of people were knocking him. A lot of those players that have been around for a while are peaking and are finding their straps and playing with a clear mind.
Australia home with 8 wickets and 4 overs to spare. A crucial result because South Africa then shocked England.
Yes, he's gone. It's a hat-trick for Kahisa Rabada.
The 3 nations all finishing level on points. Australia advancing over South Africa on net run rate.
All in all, I think we're hitting the momentum in the right stage of this tournament.
The Aussies will likely meet Pakistan in Thursday's semi.
We're going to have to be at our best, but we're showing that we can be at our best.
Danica Mason, NBN News.
England is settling into quarantine in Queensland ahead of the upcoming Ashes. The players admitting today they suspected Ben Stokes would be a part of the series well before he announced his return.
I wasn't actually that surprised. I kind of felt like something was bubbling away. So it was nice when I saw it announced, and it's exciting because we wanted to get out here and obviously have the best side possible.
The first test will be played at the Gabba starting December 8. The Wallabies are on high alert ahead of their showdown with Scotland early tomorrow morning. The last time Australia faced the Scots, they were thrashed by 29 points, a loss that still weighs heavily on them.
We know that Scotland are a really quality team. We've got to be on at set piece. We've got to be moving them and manoeuvring them around the field well, and we've got to be defensively really on.
After tomorrow's test, the Wallabies will play England, who celebrated a huge 69-3 victory over Tonga. Coming up, a rising star of the supercars impresses at Eastern Creek. And Novak Djokovic to finish the year on top of the rankings. Anton De Pasquale is starting to fulfil his promise as one of supercars' next big stars. The Ford driver has been the one to catch since the series resumed, winning race 2 today during the second of 4 straight rounds at Eastern Creek.
A day for the diehards at Sydney Motorsport Park, but from the very first lap, there was plenty of on-track action.
Goes around, then contact.
The Formula Ford sent flying, the advertisers with every right to ask for their money back. Anton De Pasquale was on pole in the supercars, but the winner of race 1 last night was the fastest starter.
Shane has bolted.
Van Gisbergen hitting the lead, but he was on the hard, slower tyres. It only took De Pasquale a lap to chase him down.
He gets the job done down at turn 8.
Both drivers had to pit and change their tyres, but by that time, De Pasquale had already opened up a comfortable gap. He surged further ahead, claiming his 3rd win since the series restart, with the final race of this round tonight.
De Pasquale throws a knockout punch in race number 24.
Our car was a jet, so good to show it. We didn't get to do it yesterday, so good to get to one today.
Lance Stroll lost control in F1 qualifying in Mexico.
He's fighting it all the way, isn't he?
Championship leader Max Verstappen also struggled to rein in his Red Bull, allowing Mercedes to lock out the front row. Valtteri Bottas on pole, Lewis Hamilton 2nd. Daniel Ricciardo will start 7th. Jack Miller was setting the pace in Portugal.
Miller's taken it, and it's an all-time lap record.
But for the 4th time in 5 races, he was pipped for pole by Ducati teammate Francesco Bagnaia. The Australian will still start 2nd in tonight's Algarve MotoGP. Luke Duffy, NBN News.
Football fans have been given a reminder of just how cutthroat the Premier League can be. Hours after guiding Norwich City to their first win of the season over Brentford, manager Daniel Farke was sacked. He's the 4th club boss to depart so far this campaign. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could be the 5th. The Manchester United manager is under immense pressure after the Red Devils lost the Manchester derby 2-0 to City. The competition frontrunner Chelsea was held to a 1-1 draw by Burnley. Novak Djokovic has ensured he'll finish the year as world number 1 for a record 7th time by moving into the final of the Paris Masters. Djokovic came from a set down to beat Hubert Hurkacz in the semis, setting up a clash with Daniil Medvedev in the decider. To the NRL, and club legend Andrew Johns says he's excited about the prospect of coaching Luke Brooks if the halfback ends up moving from the Tigers to the Knights. Johns believes the 26-year-old needs a change, and that includes getting out of Sydney. The Rugby League immortal has been hired by Newcastle in a newly created position of coaching consultant. Returning to cricket, and New South Wales is in real trouble in the Sheffield Shield clash with Victoria at the MCG, trailing by 361 at the end of day 3. South Cardiff's Jason Sanger is in danger of losing his spot, falling for 5 in the second innings after scoring just 10 in his first dig.
There's the edge and there's the catch. Peter Hanscom, the skipper.
New South Wales will resume at 3 for 61 on day 4. It was a battle of the Northern New South Wales representatives in the Women's Big Bash this afternoon as the Thunder took on the Brisbane Heat. Lismore product Georgia Redmayne was named player of the match after top scoring for Brisbane. The Thunder batted first and got off to a solid start. Phoebe Litchfield top scoring with 40. The Hunters' Corinne Hall didn't get much time in the middle.
That's worth a shout.
Lismore product Sammy Jo Johnson did her part to lift the run rate before she was knocked over for 12 from 15 balls. Annika Leroyd from Coffs Harbour could only manage 4 before she was clean bowled.
Another one for Jonathan. Leroyd goes, beaten by the arm ball.
Lauren Smith from the Central Coast finished on 7 not out as the Sydney side reached 7 for 143. Another Lismore junior opened for the Heat and immediately set about chasing down the total. Georgia Redmayne finished with a strike rate of 126 on her way to a match-high score of 57. The Hunters' Sam Bates gave the Thunder some hope with a vital wicket.
Gone, she's missed out. It's a huge breakthrough. She never looked comfortable against Bates.
But with Redmayne leading the charge, Brisbane cruised to victory with an over and 5 wickets to spare. World Tour surfer Ryan Callanan has taken out his 7th Ray Richards Memorial Man-on-Man competition, beating Zach McMahon in the final. The Merriweather Surfboard Club's annual event featured a host of big names, including world number 5 Morgan Siblick, as well as former professionals Matt Hoy and Luke Egan. Jai Picken has grabbed 3rd spot at the New South Wales Country Championships in Forbes, finishing as the best of our Hunter golfers. His brother Bryce and Branxton's Corey Lamb finished in a tie for 9th place, thanks to rounds of 71 and 72. Jane, as my good mate Sam Jordan would say, stars of the future.
They sure are. Thank you, Mitch. Severe thunderstorms across the region tonight. We'll check the Hunter weather details right after the break.
NBN News Rewind. Proudly brought to you by Newcastle Permanent. Here for good.
Now to our weekly Rewind series, direct from the NBN News archives. Tonight we remember a time when NBN News visited a famous Wharf Road landmark in Newcastle. In the 1960s, Newcastle locals could keep their cool thanks to Dark's Iceworks, located between the Newcastle branch train line and the busy, bustling harbour. NBN News visited the site that supplied ice for cool rooms and residents across the city. This was industrial-scale production, huge blocks of frozen water sliding from moulds ready for collection. During this time, efficient electrical-based cooling was already replacing this process for commercial use. But for now, locals could still get fresh, old-school ice for fishing and camping trips using their trusty utes and eskies. Another way of life filmed by NBN News, now long lost in the rush of time and progress. The harbourside location, once occupied by Dark's Iceworks, now completely transformed. And we'll have another episode of NBN Rewind next Sunday night. Let's turn to the weather now. Storms are rolling through the region this evening. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds, large hailstones and heavy rainfall for the Hunter. But a beautiful start to the day. Sunrise captured by one of our keen contributors, Brenton Bradford at Boat Harbour. And if you have a weather shot, please send it to us on Instagram. Let's head up to the satellite. Extensive cloud over parts of the website. Before we go, tonight we farewell our home of almost 60 years. The studios here at Mosbri Crescent in Newcastle.
The first broadcast here was on March 4, 1962, and tonight's the last. This studio has produced some of the region's most loved programs and telethons. Tomorrow night, it's the beginning of a new era for NBN News.
Join us as our team of reporters across northern New South Wales and southeast Queensland brings you the latest news live from our new state-of-the-art headquarters on Newcastle Harbour. But from all of the team here, including those behind the scenes, thank you for joining us. Good night.
Good night.
Remember, the people who love you love to see you smile. Bye-bye. Here is the news. 1967 was a good year. So it certainly looks like we're in for a fine weekend.
Chairman of the Shotland County Council.
The high-pressure area straddles the waters of Bass Strait.
Top Newcastle galloper Luskin Star completed the night.
Congratulations to the Katara Club.
It was a game of vigour. St George, Marconi, Newcastle United.
Doctors have confirmed the first case of...
Remember, the people who love you love to see you smile. Bye-bye. Here is the news. 1967 was a good year. So it certainly looks like we're in for a fine weekend.
Chairman of the Shotland County Council.
The high-pressure area straddles the waters of Bass Strait.
Top Newcastle galloper Luskin Star completed the night.
Congratulations to the Katara Club.
It was a game of vigour. St George, Marconi, Newcastle United.
Doctors have confirmed the